Emma Garrett's head throbs with a pulse that matches the rhythm of her regret. She opens her eyes to unfamiliar
I brought you
territory, a
breakfast.
small bedroom with
I'm not
cream-colored
hungry.
walls,
Just
a
try a little.
window overlooking fire escapes,
I
and brick
wanted it to be
buildings that
perfect.
stretch toward a
Oh, it's
gray Brooklyn
beautiful.
sky.
May I?
The scent
Yes.
I
of
love you.
coffee drifts through a crack in the door, mingling with something sweeter. Pancakes, maybe. The kind her father used to make on Sunday mornings back in Tennessee before the world got complicated. She sits up too fast, and the room tilts. Her hand instinctively reaches for the blanket, pulling it to her chest, before she realizes she's wearing an oversized flannel shirt that isn't hers. The fabric is soft from years of washing faded blue and green plaid that smells like cedar and something masculine. Clean, not cologne. Just soap and the faint trace of wood smoke. Panic floods her system like ice water. She scans the room for her clothes, her purse, any evidence of what happened last night. Her dress, the black one she wore to drown her sorrows in expensive martinis, is folded neatly on a chair by the door. Her heels sit beneath it, arranged with care. Not the scattered chaos of a mistake, more like someone who didn't want her to trip when she woke. The memory comes in fragments. The rooftop bar in Manhattan, all glass and steel, and people who belonged there. She didn't belong there. She belonged back in her father's shop in Brooklyn, hunched over a sewing machine, trying to forget that Daniel Hartwell had shattered 4 years of her life with a confession delivered over takeout Chinese food. He'd been sleeping with someone from his firm. 6 months. Maybe longer. He wasn't sure. The details didn't matter anymore, he'd said, because he wanted to make it work. She'd left the ring on his kitchen counter and walked out into the February cold without a coat. The bar had been a bad idea. She knew that even as she ordered the first drink, then the second. By the third, the city lights blurred into streaks of gold, and she stopped counting, stopped caring, until the men showed up, 3 of them in suits that cost more than her rent, smelling like whiskey, and entitlement crowding her space at the bar with hands that reached for her shoulder, her waist, her arm. One of them had leaned close, breath hot against her ear. "You look like you could use some company, sweetheart." She'd shoved him away, but the alcohol made her clumsy. The room spun. She remembers stumbling the bartender's worried face, and then a voice cutting through the noise like a blade. Deep, cold, commanding. "Back off." She looks up now at the sound of footsteps in the hallway. The door opens and a man steps inside, tall and lean, with dark hair that's slightly disheveled, like he's been running his hands through it. His eyes are blue, not the warm kind, but the color of winter sky just before snow. He's wearing jeans and a gray t-shirt, holding a mug of coffee in one hand and a plate in the other. Their eyes meet, and Emma's first instinct is to pull the blanket higher, even though the shirt covers her to mid-thigh. He doesn't look away, doesn't apologize for intruding, just stands there in the doorway with an expression that gives away nothing. "You're awake." His voice is the same one from last night, flat and matter-of-fact. "Good. You need to eat something." He sets the plate on the nightstand, 2 pancakes, butter melting into golden pools, a drizzle of syrup. The coffee mug follows. Emma stares at the food like it's evidence in a crime she doesn't remember committing. "Who are you?" Her voice comes out rough, throat dry from too much alcohol and not enough water. "Marcus Thornton." He crosses his arms, leaning against the doorframe. "This is my apartment. You were in trouble last night at the bar. I brought you here." The name means nothing to her. Emma swallows hard, forcing herself to ask the question that's burning through her chest. Did anything?" "No." The word is sharp, final. "You threw up on yourself in the taxi. I changed your shirt because I wasn't going to let you sleep in that mess. I tried not to look. You passed out the second your head hit the pillow." Heat floods her face, a mortification so complete she wants to disappear into the mattress. She threw up, on herself, in front of this stranger who saved her from God knows what and then had to undress her like a child. "I'm sorry." The words feel inadequate, tiny against the weight of her humiliation. "I don't usually. I'm not like this. I just break up." His tone doesn't soften, but something in his eyes shifts. Recognition, maybe, or pity. She's not sure which is worse. "How did you told me, in the taxi." between apologies and crying. Said your fiancé was a bastard who didn't deserve you. Marcus straightens, moving away from the door. You weren't wrong, by the way. Any man who drives a woman to drink like that isn't worth the ring. Emma looks down at her left hand, bare now except for the faint tan line where Daniel's grandmother's diamond used to sit. She'd worn it for 2 years, planned a wedding that was supposed to happen in June, picked out flowers and argued over guest lists and believed in a future that turned out to be built on lies. Thank you, she forces herself to meet his gaze, for helping me, for being decent. Don't thank me yet. Marcus turns toward the door. Eat the pancakes. There's aspirin in the bathroom cabinet. Your clothes are clean, I ran them through the wash. You can shower if you want. Then you should probably go home. He's halfway through the door when a small voice interrupts from somewhere down the hall. Daddy, is the pretty lady awake yet? Emma's stomach drops. Daddy. Of course, because this nightmare couldn't possibly get worse. A little girl appears in the doorway, maybe 6 years old, with dark curls that fall past her shoulders and eyes the same blue as Marcus's. She's wearing pajamas covered in stars and moons, holding a stuffed rabbit that's seen better days. When she sees Emma, her face lights up with a smile so genuine it hurts to look at. You are awake. Daddy said you were really tired and needed to sleep a long time. Are you feeling better? Do you like pancakes? Daddy makes the best pancakes in the whole world. Lily. Marcus's voice carries a warning. Give her some space. But Lily is already climbing onto the bed, sitting cross-legged at the foot with her rabbit in her lap. She tilts her head, studying Emma with the kind of unfiltered curiosity only children possess. What's your name? I'm Lily. I'm 6 3/4, almost 7. Daddy says I'm too smart for my own good, but I think that's a compliment, even though he sounds grumpy when he says it. Emma can't help the smile that tugs at her lips despite everything. I'm Emma, and yes, I like pancakes. See, Daddy, I told you she'd be nice. Lily turns back to Emma. Are you Daddy's friend? He doesn't have very many friends, mostly just work people who talk about boring things like numbers and contracts. Lily, that's enough. Marcus steps into the room, his jaw tight. Emma needs to eat and get ready to leave. You need to finish your cereal. But I want to talk to Emma. She's pretty and she smells nice, not like Daddy's boring work people. Now, Lily. The little girl sighs with the dramatic flair of someone who's been asked to move mountains, then slides off the bed. Okay, fine, but Emma, if you want to stay for breakfast, Daddy makes really good bacon too. He burns it a little bit, but it's still good. She skips out of the room humming to herself, leaving Emma and Marcus in a silence that feels heavier than before. He runs a hand through his hair, the first crack in his composed exterior. Sorry about that. She doesn't understand boundaries yet. She's sweet. Emma picks up the coffee mug, more for something to do with her hands than actual thirst. How old did you say she was? I didn't, but she's 6, 7 in May. Marcus leans against the wall, arms crossed again. It seems to be his default position, closed off, guarded. Her mother died 3 years ago. Cancer. Lily doesn't remember her much anymore, which is probably a mercy. The information lands like a stone in still water, rippling outward. Emma looks at the pancakes, the coffee, the clean clothes folded on the chair. This man, this stranger, saved her from a bad situation, took care of her when she was at her worst, and he's been raising a daughter alone for 3 years. Meanwhile, she can't even handle a breakup without falling apart in a Manhattan bar. I'm sorry for your loss. And for, she gestures vaguely at herself, the shirt, the situation. All of this. I'm sure you had better things to do last night than rescue drunk women. I was at that bar for a client meeting. Saw you at the bar, saw those men closing in, wasn't going to stand by and watch. He says it like it's the most obvious thing in the world, not a choice but a reflex. You could barely stand. They knew it. I've got a daughter. I'd want someone to do the same if she ever... He stops, jaw working. Anyway, you eat. I'll give you some privacy. He's gone before she can respond, pulling the door shut behind him with a soft click. Emma sits alone in the quiet bedroom, holding a mug of coffee made by a man who didn't have to care, but did anyway. She can hear Lily's voice in the kitchen, bright and cheerful, asking her father questions faster than he can answer them. The pancakes are still warm. She takes a bite, and the taste brings her back to Sunday mornings in Tennessee when her father would make breakfast and her mother would read the paper, and everything felt simple. Before the cancer took her mother. Before Emma moved to New York to start over. Before Daniel and the broken promises and the ring she left behind. She finishes eating in silence, then finds the bathroom Marcus mentioned. It's small, but clean, decorated with Lily's artwork taped to the walls, crayon drawings of flowers and houses, and a family of 3 stick figures holding hands. Emma stares at that last one longer than she should, wondering who the 3rd figure is supposed to be. A memory of Lily's mother, maybe. Or just wishful thinking from a little girl who wants what she can't have. The shower is hot, and the water pressure is better than her own apartment. She washes away the smell of alcohol and shame using the plain soap on the ledge and trying not to think about how many times Marcus has stood in this exact spot getting ready for work or helping Lily brush her teeth. When she steps out, her clothes are where Marcus said they'd be, dress and stockings folded neatly, still faintly warm from the dryer. She dresses quickly, finger-combing her hair into something resembling order. No makeup to fix the damage under her eyes, but it doesn't matter. She's not trying to impress anyone. She just wants to get home and pretend last night never happened. When she emerges from the bedroom, Marcus is in the kitchen with Lily loading breakfast dishes into the sink. The apartment is small but well kept, with furniture that looks comfortable rather than expensive. A couch with throw pillows, a bookshelf crammed with picture books, and what look like business manuals, photos on the walls of Lily at various ages. No pictures of a woman who might be her mother, just father and daughter building a life in the spaces between loss. I should go. Emma lingers in the doorway, unsure of the protocol for this situation. Thank you cards don't seem appropriate for, I'm sorry I was a drunk mess and you had to see me at my worst. Really thank you. For everything. I'll pay you back for... Don't. Marcus doesn't look up from the dishes. I don't want your money. At least let me replace your shirt, or pay for the dry cleaning, or... Emma. He turns, drying his hands on a towel, and the use of her name stops her mid-sentence. You don't owe me anything. You were in trouble. I helped. That's it. Lily appears at Emma's side, tugging on her sleeve. Do you have to go? You could stay and play dolls with me. I have 17 dolls and they all have names and stories. Lily, Emma has her own life to get back to. But I like her. Lily looks up at Emma with those impossibly blue eyes. Can you come back and visit sometime? Please? Emma's throat tightens. She crouches down to Lily's level, tucking a curl behind the little girl's ear. Maybe someday. But your daddy's right. I need to go home now. Okay. Lily throws her arms around Emma's neck in a hug that's over before Emma can fully return it. Bye, Emma. I hope your heart stops being sad. The words hit harder than they should. Emma straightens, blinking against the sudden sting in her eyes, and finds Marcus watching her with an expression she can't quite read. Not pity. Something else. Understanding, maybe. I'll walk you out. He grabs his jacket from a hook by the door, then leads her down a narrow hallway and a flight of stairs that creak with age. The building is old, but maintained the kind of place where neighbors know each other's names and people look out for one another. On the street, Brooklyn is waking up to a cold Saturday morning. A bodega on the corner is already open, music drifting out in Spanish. An old man walks a dog that's mostly gray around the muzzle. The air smells like snow, even though the sky is clear, that particular sharpness of winter that cuts through everything. Where do you live? Marcus asks, hands in his jacket pockets. About 20 blocks from here. I can catch the subway. Emma pulls her coat tighter, regretting the choice to leave without her scarf last night. I'll be fine. I'll get you a cab. You don't have to humor me. He steps to the curb, raising a hand. A yellow taxi materializes like magic, pulling up to the sidewalk with practiced ease. Marcus opens the door, then hesitates. You have people. Someone to check on you. My father. I work with him. Emma slides into the back seat, grateful for the blast of warm air from the vents. We have a shop, tailoring, in Sunset Park. Something flickers across Marcus's face, surprise maybe or interest, but it's gone before she can identify it. He nods once, closing the door with a firm click, and steps back onto the sidewalk. The taxi pulls away from the curb, and Emma watches through the rear window as Marcus Thornton gets smaller hands still in his pockets, head tilted against the wind. She doesn't know why she keeps watching until he turns and walks back into his building. Doesn't know why the image of him and Lily in that small, clean apartment stays with her all the way home. Her own apartment is exactly as she left its studio in Sunset Park, with a view of the neighbors' brick wall furniture from thrift stores and big box retailers, a sewing machine on a table by the window. The space feels emptier now than it did yesterday, like something shifted in her absence. She drops her purse on the counter and collapses onto the couch, staring at the ceiling and trying to organize the chaos of the last 12 hours into something that makes sense. Her phone has 17 missed calls, most from Daniel, a few from her father. She deletes Daniel's voicemails without listening and calls her father instead. "Emma Rose Garrett, where the hell have you been?" Tommy Garrett's voice is rough from decades of smoking. He quit 10 years too late, but the worry underneath is unmistakable. "I've been calling since last night." "I'm sorry, Dad. I went out and it got late. I stayed at a friend's place." "What friend?" "You don't have friends in this city, except for that bastard Daniel, and if you tell me you went back to him after what he did, I swear to God, I didn't go back to Daniel. I'm done with him. For real this time." She closes her eyes, seeing Marcus's apartment again, Lily's bright smile pancakes on a nightstand. "I met someone new. It wasn't like that. He just helped me out when I needed it." Her father is quiet for a moment, the kind of silence that says he's reading between the lines of what she's not saying. "You okay, honey? Really okay?" "I will be." And maybe that's not a lie. Maybe she will be eventually when the sharp edges of this week wear down to something bearable. "I'm coming into the shop Monday. We have that order for the Weinstein wedding. I'll finish the alterations." "Forget the Weinsteins. You take the time you need." "I don't need time. I need to work." Because work makes sense when everything else doesn't. Fabric and thread and patterns she can control, unlike hearts and promises and men who lie. "I'll see you Monday, Dad." She hangs up before he can argue, then spends the rest of the weekend in her apartment, avoiding Daniel's calls and eating takeout that tastes like cardboard. Sunday night, she stands in front of her bathroom mirror and makes a promise to herself. No more crying over Daniel Hartwell. No more wondering what she did wrong or how she missed the signs. She's 28 years old, talented enough to run her father's shop when he retires, and she's not going to let one mistake, his mistake, not hers, define her. Monday morning arrives with the kind of cold that makes her face ache. She bundles up in her warmest coat and walks the 6 blocks to Garrett & Son Tailoring, a narrow storefront wedged between a laundromat and a deli that makes the best breakfast sandwiches in Brooklyn. The sign above the door is hand-painted peeling now, but still legible. Her grandfather opened this shop in 1952, fresh off a bus from Tennessee, with nothing but a sewing machine and the skills his father taught him in the coal towns of Appalachia. Inside, her father is already at work, bent over a jacket on his cutting table with the concentration of a surgeon. At 72, Tommy Garrett still has steady hands and an eye for detail that puts people half his age to shame. His hair is white now, thinning at the crown, but his shoulders are still broad from years of manual labor before he found his calling in this shop. He looks up when the bell over the door chimes, taking in Emma's appearance with the kind of assessment only a parent can deliver. "You look like hell." "Good morning to you too, Dad." She hangs her coat on the rack by the door, unwinding her scarf. "I slept fine, thanks for asking." "Don't sass me, girl. I know when you're hurting." He sets down his scissors, wiping his hands on the apron tied around his waist. "Daniel been calling here. I told him if he shows his face, I'll take the shears to more than just fabric." Despite everything, Emma smiles. "You can't threaten customers, Dad." "He's not a customer. He's a snake in a fancy suit." Tommy crosses his arms, the gesture so familiar it makes her chest ache. Her father has always been her fiercest defender, even when she didn't need defending. You want to talk about what happened this weekend? This friend who helped you out? Nothing to talk about. I made a mistake. Someone bailed me out and now I'm moving on with my life. She moves to her own work table where the Weinstein order is waiting 3 bridesmaids' dresses that need hemming and a mother of the bride suit that requires taking in at the waist. Simple work. Mindless. Exactly what she needs. The morning passes in the comfortable rhythm of needle and thread, the hum of the sewing machine filling the spaces between her thoughts. Customers come and go, Mrs. Chen picking up her husband's altered pants, a young professional who needs a suit tailored for an interview, an older gentleman who brings them a coat that belonged to his father and needs the lining replaced. Emma loses herself in the work and the precision required to make something fit perfectly. This is what she's good at, not relationships or trust or reading the signs when someone's lying to her face, but taking fabric and thread and turning it into something beautiful, something that makes people feel confident when they wear it, that she understands. It's almost noon when the bell chimes again, and Emma looks up from the bridesmaid dress she's pinning. A man walks in wearing a long wool coat and carrying a leather messenger bag, his dark hair slightly mussed from the wind. Her hands freeze mid-pin. Marcus Thornton stands in the doorway of her father's shop, looking just as surprised to see her as she is to see him. For a moment, neither of them speaks. Then Tommy's voice cuts through the silence. "Can I help you, son?" Marcus's gaze shifts from Emma to her father, and something in his expression shudders. Professional, distant, nothing like the man who made her pancakes and let his daughter crawl into bed to say good morning. "I have a delivery." He reaches into the bag, pulling out a garment wrapped in plastic. Suit jacket. The customer said he needed it altered, and that Garrett & Son does the best work in Brooklyn. Tommy moves forward to take the jacket, examining it with the critical eye of someone who's seen thousands of pieces pass through his hands. "Good fabric. Italian, if I'm not wrong. Who's the customer?" "Client of mine, Richard Cho. He's in town for a meeting and the jacket doesn't fit right through the shoulders." Marcus keeps his attention on Tommy as if Emma isn't standing 5 feet away with a pin still clutched between her fingers. "He needs it by Wednesday." "Wednesday," Tommy snorts. "Everyone always needs it yesterday. But yeah, we can do Wednesday. Emma, you free to take measurements?" She sets down the pin with hands that aren't quite steady, crossing to where Marcus stands like a man who'd rather be anywhere else. Up close, she can see the tension in his jaw, the way his shoulders are just a fraction too tight beneath the expensive coat. He's uncomfortable. That makes 2 of them. "If you could take off your coat." Her voice comes out more professional than she feels, and she's grateful for years of practice at hiding what she's thinking. "I'll need to see how the jacket sits." Marcus hesitates for a heartbeat, then shrugs out of the coat. Underneath, he's wearing a charcoal suit that fits him perfectly, tailored to his frame with the kind of precision that speaks to money and taste. He's not just successful, he's the kind of successful that makes people take notice. Emma helps him into the customer's jacket, her fingers brushing against the fabric as she adjusts the shoulders. It's too tight, pulling across his back and restricting movement. She makes mental notes calculating what needs to be let out and where. "Your client is broader through the shoulders than the jacket was cut for." She steps back, assessing. "I can take out the seams and add fabric panels to the interior. It won't be visible from the outside, but it'll give him the room he needs." "Will it hold?" Marcus asks, his tone all business. "If I do it, yes." She meets his eyes, refusing to look away first. "My father and I don't do shoddy work, Mr. Thornton." Something flickers in his gaze, recognition that she's drawing a line, keeping this professional, even though they both know there's nothing professional about how they met. He nods once, crisp and final. "Then I'll trust your expertise, Miss Garrett." The use of her last name stings more than it should. She helps him out of the jacket, careful not to let their hands touch, and carries it back to her work table. Tommy is already filling out a ticket, scribbling details in handwriting that's gotten shakier over the years. "Wednesday afternoon, then. We'll call when it's ready." Her father tears off the customer copy and hands it to Marcus. "That'll be $75 for the alterations." "I'll pay now." Marcus pulls out a wallet, extracting a $100 bill. "Keep the change." We don't need. Consider it a rush fee. He's already moving toward the door, coat over his arm, not waiting for Tommy's protest. Wednesday. Thank you for accommodating the timeline. He's gone before Emma can formulate a response, the bell chiming his exit. She stands at her work table holding a jacket that belongs to a stranger delivered by a man who saved her life and now pretends they're nothing more than customer and tailor. Her father clears his throat. That the friend who helped you out this weekend? Yeah. Emma carries the jacket to better light, examining the seams. That's him. Seems like a decent fellow. Polite, well-dressed, tipped well even though I told him we don't take tips for rush jobs. Dad don't. Don't what? I'm just making an observation. Tommy returns to his cutting table, but she can feel him watching her. He looked at you like he knew you, and you looked at him like you wished he didn't. She doesn't answer because there's nothing to say that won't lead to more questions. Instead, she focuses on the jacket, on the careful work of taking it apart and putting it back together better than it was. It's what she's always done, fix things that are broken, mend what's torn. Everything except herself. The week passes in a blur of orders and alterations. Emma throws herself into work with a single-minded focus that worries her father, though he's smart enough not to push. She finishes the Weinstein wedding order, completes a rush job for a corporate lawyer who needs pants hemmed, and spends her evenings in her apartment avoiding Daniel's increasingly desperate voicemails. Wednesday arrives gray and cold with the promise of snow that doesn't quite deliver. Emma works on Marcus's client's jacket through the morning, letting out seams with the precision of a surgeon and adding interior panels cut from matching fabric she found in their stock. The work is delicate, requiring focus that leaves no room for thoughts of blue eyes and a little girl who wanted her to stay for breakfast. By early afternoon, the jacket is finished. She hangs it on a hanger with a protective cover, adding the ticket to the pocket. Her father has stepped out for lunch, leaving her alone in the shop when the bell chimes. Marcus Thornton walks in like he owns the space, though his expression is carefully neutral. He's wearing a different suit today, navy with a subtle pinstripe, and carrying a leather portfolio that probably costs more than her monthly rent. I'm here for the Cho jacket. No greeting, no acknowledgement of their previous encounter. Just business. Emma retrieves the jacket from the back, carrying it to the counter. It's ready. I reinforced all the seams and added interior panels for flexibility. Your client should have full range of motion now. Marcus examines the work with the eye of someone who knows quality when he sees it. He checks the stitching, the hang of the fabric, the way the shoulders sit. Whatever test he's conducting, she must pass because he nods. This is excellent work. Better than I expected. He pulls out his wallet again. What do I owe you beyond the deposit? Nothing. The $75 covered it. That's too low for this level of craftsmanship. He lays $200 bills on the counter. This is fair. Pride flares hot in her chest. I don't need your charity, Mr. Thornton. It's not charity. It's payment for skilled labor. His voice is flat, brooking no argument. You fixed a problem in 3 days that most tailors would need a week to solve. That's worth paying extra for. They stare at each other across the counter, and Emma realizes this is about more than money. It's about boundaries, about maintaining professional distance, about pretending Saturday night never happened. He's paying extra so he doesn't owe her anything, so they're even. She takes the money and slides it into the register without counting it. Thank you for the business. Thank you for the work. He picks up the jacket, folding it over his arm with care. Then, just as he's turning to leave, he pauses. How's your heart? Still sad? The question catches her off guard, so unexpected that she forgets to maintain her careful distance. What? Lily asked me to check, when I told her I was coming here. A ghost of something that might be a smile touches his mouth. She said Emma seemed like she had a sad heart, and we should make sure she's doing better. Emma's throat constricts. She grips the edge of the counter, needing the solid wood to anchor her. Tell her I'm working on it. I will. Marcus heads for the door, then stops with his hand on the handle. We're hosting a dinner Saturday night. Business associates, potential investors for a new project. I need someone who can handle last-minute alterations on formal wear, A colleague's wife is flying in and her dress needs adjusting. The tailor we usually use is out of town. You're offering me a job. I'm offering you work. If you're interested, it would be at my place Saturday afternoon. 2 hours, maybe 3. I'll pay your standard rate plus 50% for the weekend inconvenience. Every instinct tells her to say no, to keep the distance he's been so careful to maintain, to not blur the lines between that desperate night and the professional present. But rent is due in 2 weeks, and her savings took a hit when she had to buy Daniel out of their joint bank account. What time Saturday? 3 o'clock. I'll text you the address. He pulls out his phone. Still the same number you gave the taxi driver. She rattles off her number and watches him type it in, wondering when her life became a series of transactions with a man who makes her feel too much and nothing at all in the same breath. I'll be there. She forces herself to sound confident, unbothered. 3 o'clock. Good. Marcus pockets his phone and finally walks out the door, taking the jacket and the careful pretense of normalcy with him. Emma stands alone in the shop, surrounded by fabric and thread and the tools of her trade, and wonders what she's just agreed to. Her phone buzzes in her pocket, a text from an unknown number with an Upper East Side address that makes her breath catch. She knows that neighborhood, knows the kind of people who live there, the kind of wealth that exists in those pristine buildings with doormen and private elevators. It's not her world, never has been, probably never will be. But Saturday at 3, she'll walk into that world anyway, needle and thread in hand, and pretend she belongs. Her father returns from lunch smelling like pastrami and optimism, taking one look at her face and shaking his head. That man's going to be trouble for you, Emma Rose. Mark my words. She doesn't argue because he might be right. Marcus Thornton, with his sad-eyed daughter and his careful distance and his too generous tips, feels like the kind of trouble she can't afford. Not now, when she's barely holding herself together with the same needle and thread she uses to fix other people's clothes. But when Saturday comes, she'll go anyway, because the rent needs paying and her pride needs proving, and some small desperate part of her wants to see him again, even if it's just to measure inseams and pin hems and pretend her hands don't shake when he's in the room. The week crawls toward Saturday with the inevitability of winter turning to spring, slow, reluctant, but unstoppable. Emma works through each day, finishing orders and taking new ones, while her phone stays silent except for Daniel's messages that she deletes without reading. Her father watches her with the worried eyes of a man who's seen his daughter's heart break before and knows the signs. Friday night, she stands in her apartment trying to decide what to wear to a billionaire's penthouse for a professional tailoring job. Everything in her closet feels wrong, too casual or too formal or too obviously trying. She settles on black pants and a cream sweater professional enough to blend in with whatever crowd Marcus runs with. She doesn't sleep well. Dreams of Lily's bright smile and Marcus's careful distance of fabric that won't stay stitched and seams that unravel under her hands. When her alarm goes off Saturday morning, she's already awake, staring at the ceiling and second-guessing every decision that led her here. The subway ride to the Upper East Side feels like crossing into foreign territory. She watches the neighborhoods change through the train windows, from the working-class density of Brooklyn to the polished wealth of Manhattan. By the time she emerges at street level, the buildings tower overhead like judges passing silent verdict on her presence. Marcus's building is everything she expected: glass and steel, and a doorman who looks at her like he's calculating whether she belongs. She gives him Marcus's name and he makes a call, then directs her to a private elevator with the kind of courtesy that's really veiled suspicion. The elevator rises smoothly, no hint of the rattle and groan of her own building's ancient lift. When the doors open, they reveal a hallway with exactly one door. Because, of course, Marcus Thornton owns the entire floor. She knocks, heart hammering against her ribs, and counts 3 breaths before the door swings open. But it's not Marcus standing there. It's Lily, wearing a purple dress and holding her stuffed rabbit face lighting up with recognition. "Emma, you came. Daddy said you would, but I wasn't sure because sometimes grown-ups say things and then don't do them, but you did." The words tumble out in a rush as Lily grabs Emma's hand, tugging her inside. "Come see my room. I have new crayons and I drew you a picture. Lily, Emma's here to work, not play." Marcus appears from somewhere deeper in the apartment, and the sight of him in jeans and a soft gray sweater instead of a suit does something complicated to Emma's chest. He looks younger like this, more approachable, more like the man who made her pancakes instead of the CEO who kept his distance in her father's shop. But she can see my picture first, right? It'll only take a second. Lily looks up at Emma with those impossible blue eyes. Please. Emma glances at Marcus, who shrugs with the resignation of a father who's learned to pick his battles. 5 minutes. Then Emma has work to do. Lily's room is an explosion of color, purple walls, white furniture, stuffed animals arranged on shelves with the kind of precision that speaks to frequent reorganization. The new picture is taped to her door, a crayon drawing of 3 figures holding hands, one tall with dark hair, one small with curls, and one in the middle with long hair the color of Emma's. That's us, Lily points proudly. You and me and Daddy. I drew it after you left last time because you made Daddy smile, and he doesn't smile very much anymore. The words land like stones in still water. Emma crouches down to Lily's level, studying the drawing with the weight of understanding settling on her shoulders. It's beautiful, Lily. Thank you for showing me. You can have it if you want. I can draw another one. Lily is already pulling crayons from a box ready to create. Lily, remember what we talked about. Marcus's voice carries gentle warning. Emma's here for Mrs. Patterson's dress, not to be your new best friend. The little girl's face falls just for a moment before she reconstructs her smile with the practiced ease of a child used to disappointment. Okay, Daddy. I'll just draw while you work. Emma follows Marcus out of Lily's room and into the main living space, and the view stops her in her tracks. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook Central Park, the trees bare and stark against gray sky. The apartment is decorated with the kind of minimalist elegance that comes from having money and taste, clean lines, neutral colors, art on the walls that might be original. The dress is in the guest room. Marcus leads her down a hallway, his stride long enough that she has to hurry to keep up. Mrs. Patterson is flying in tonight for the dinner. Her husband sent the dress ahead with her measurements, but apparently she's lost weight since he last saw her. He needs it taken in before 8 o'clock. The dress is laid out on a bed in a room that's bigger than Emma's entire apartment. Navy silk, deceptively simple until she examines the construction. Custom work, probably European, with details that would cost more than she makes in 6 months. I'll need her here for a fitting. Emma runs her fingers over the fabric, assessing what needs to be done. Taking it in without measurements is risky. I could make it worse. She'll be here at 5. Can you work with that timeline? Emma checks her watch. It's 3:15 now. Less than 2 hours to pin and plan before the actual fitting, then another 3 hours to complete the alterations before the dinner guests arrive. It's tight. Probably too tight. But she's never walked away from a challenge. I can make it work, but I'll need space to set up my machine, good lighting, and an iron. The dining room table is yours. I'll get the iron. Marcus moves to leave, then pauses in the doorway. Thank you for doing this on short notice. I know it's an imposition. It's work. You're paying me. She keeps her tone professional, refusing to acknowledge the current of something else running beneath the surface. I'll get started. He leaves her alone with the dress, and Emma sets to work carrying it to the dining room where afternoon light floods through massive windows. She unpacks her portable machine arranging tools with the precision of ritual scissors, thread pins, measuring tape. This is her territory. This she understands. The apartment is quiet except for the distant sound of Lily playing in her room. Emma loses herself in the familiar rhythm of measuring and marking, planning where to take in the waist and bust without disrupting the dress's elegant drape. She's so focused that she doesn't notice Marcus return until he sets a cup of coffee beside her elbow. Thought you might need this. He's changed into a button-down shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, looking less like a CEO and more like someone comfortable in his own space. Lily wanted to bring you cookies, but I told her you needed to concentrate. Thank you. Emma wraps her hands around the mug, grateful for the warmth, for the coffee, and for running interference with Lily. She's sweet, but she gets attached quickly. Marcus leans against the table, arms crossed in that familiar defensive posture. Lost her mother too young. Keeps looking for someone to fill that space. The implication hangs in the air between them. Don't get too close. Don't let her hope for something that isn't going to happen. Emma takes a sip of coffee to avoid responding, the bitter taste grounding her. I won't hurt her. She sets the mug down carefully, meeting his eyes. I know this is just work, professional boundaries and all that. Good. But he doesn't move away, doesn't retreat to whatever CEO work is waiting for him. How's the dress looking? Complicated but doable. Whoever made this knew what they were doing. Taking it in without destroying the lines will require precision. She turns back to the fabric, using it as a shield. You host these dinners often. Once a month. Investors, potential partners, people I need to keep happy. His tone suggests it's a chore more than pleasure. Tonight's important. We're pitching a new venture, sustainable fashion line, high-end but ethical. If we land the Patterson account, we're looking at $20 million in initial funding. Emma's hands still on the fabric. $20 million. The number is so far outside her reality that it might as well be fairy gold. Her father's shop runs on margins thin enough to see through, celebrating when they gross 6 figures in a good year. That's a lot of money riding on a dress fitting. She tries for light, but it comes out strained. The dress is just courtesy. But first impressions matter in this business. Mrs. Patterson shows up in something that doesn't fit, she'll be uncomfortable all night. Uncomfortable people don't invest. Marcus straightens, moving toward the kitchen. I'll let you work. Let me know if you need anything. He disappears, and Emma breathes easier in his absence. She returns to the dress, to the soothing logic of measurements and seams, while late afternoon fades toward evening beyond the windows. Somewhere in the apartment, Lily sings to herself a tuneless melody that rises and falls like breathing. At 5 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rings. Emma hears Marcus answer the sound of greetings and polite small talk, then footsteps approaching the dining room. Mrs. Patterson turns out to be a petite woman in her 50s, perfectly groomed and radiating the kind of confidence that comes from never having to worry about money. You must be the tailor. Marcus says you're a miracle worker. She extends a manicured hand. I'm so sorry for the rush. I didn't realize I'd lost this much weight until I tried on my usual size last week. Emma helps her into the dress, assessing the fit with practiced eyes. It's loose everywhere, bust, waist, hips, requiring a full reconstruction of the side seams. She pins and marks while Mrs. Patterson makes polite conversation about the weather, her flight or excitement about tonight's dinner. All right, I'll have this ready by 7:30. Emma helps her out of the dress, carefully mindful of the pins. You can change in the guest room if you'd like. There's a robe on the bed. Once Mrs. Patterson retreats, Emma settles at the dining room table and begins the delicate work of taking apart and reconstructing. Her fingers move with the certainty of repetition, unpicking stitches, trimming excess fabric, resewing seams with invisible precision. The world narrows to needle and thread, to the satisfaction of making something fit perfectly. She doesn't notice Marcus standing in the doorway until he speaks. Dinner's ready. You should eat something before you finish. Emma looks up, disoriented by the interruption, and realizes the sun has set. The windows show nothing but her own reflection against darkness. Her back aches from hunching over the machine, fingers cramped from holding pins. What time is it? 6:30. You've been working for 3 hours straight. Marcus moves into the room carrying a plate. Lily and I had dinner. There's pasta left if you want something substantial, but I brought you a sandwich for now. The plate holds a turkey sandwich cut diagonally, chips on the side, and a pickle spear. Simple food, the kind you'd make for a friend rather than hired help. Emma's stomach growls, reminding her she skipped lunch. Thank you. She takes the plate, suddenly self-conscious about eating in front of him. I'll be done in time. The dress is coming together nicely. I'm not worried. Marcus pulls out a chair, sitting across from her like this is normal. Like they're colleagues sharing a meal instead of near strangers dancing around what happened 2 weekends ago. You're good at this. Better than the tailor I usually use, and I pay him twice what I'm paying you. Maybe you should pay him less. Maybe I should pay you more. He's not smiling, but there's something in his eyes that might be humor. My daughter thinks you're magic. She asked if you could come back next Saturday to help her design a dress for her stuffed rabbit. I'm not magic, just trained. Emma takes a bite of the sandwich to avoid looking at him. Your daughter is lonely. That's not something I can fix. No, but you make her happy when you're around. That's worth something. Marcus stands carrying his own coffee mug to the sink. Finish your food. I'll be in my office if you need anything. He leaves her alone and Emma finishes the sandwich in silence, tasting nothing. Then she returns to the dress, to the final hour of work that will make or break Mrs. Patterson's evening. The alterations come together perfectly, seams that disappear into the fabric's natural drape, a fit that will look custom-made because it is. At 7:15 she calls Marcus. He appears with Mrs. Patterson, who slips into the dress and gasps when she sees herself in the full-length mirror Marcus produces. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. She turns, examining herself from every angle. You're brilliant. How much do I owe you? Mr. Thornton already handled payment. Emma packs up her supplies, eager to escape before the dinner guests arrive, and she's forced to witness the gulf between her world and theirs. Well then, I'm telling everyone about you. Here, Mrs. Patterson pulls a business card from her purse. My assistant's number. Call her Monday. I want you for all my alterations going forward. Emma takes the card with numb fingers, nodding mechanically. Mrs. Patterson floats away in her perfect dress, leaving Emma alone with her portable sewing machine and the evidence of her work scattered across Marcus Thornton's dining room table. She's cleaning up when Lily appears, still in her purple dress, but with marker stains on her hands. Are you leaving? You just got here? I've been here 4 hours, sweetie. It's past your bedtime. Emma crouches down, unable to resist tucking a curl behind Lily's ear. You should go brush your teeth. Will you come back? The question is so earnest it hurts. Daddy has more dinner parties. There's always people who need dresses fixed. Maybe. It's the only answer Emma can give, honest and insufficient. We'll see. Lily throws her arms around Emma's neck, the second hug in as many weeks, then scampers off toward what must be her bedroom. Emma straightens, packing the last of her supplies, and finds Marcus watching from the hallway. You don't have to sneak out. He moves into the room, hands in his pockets. The guests won't be here for another 20 minutes. I should go anyway. I'm sure you have things to prepare. Emma shoulders her bag, the sewing machine case heavy in her other hand. The dress is done. Mrs. Patterson seemed happy. She was ecstatic, already singing your praises to everyone in earshot. Marcus takes a step closer, close enough that Emma can smell his cologne, something subtle and expensive. Which means I'll probably need your services again, if you're willing. For the right price, I'm always willing. The words come out sharper than intended, a defense against the way her pulse quickens when he's near. Name it then. What's your price? He's watching her with those winter sky eyes, and Emma has the sudden dizzying sense that they're not talking about money anymore. Standard rates plus 50% for weekend work. Same as today. She clutches the sewing machine case tighter, using it as a barrier. I should go. Really. I'll walk you down. You don't... Emma. Just her name, but the way he says it makes her stop. Let me walk you down. My guests won't arrive for 15 minutes and I could use the air. They ride the elevator in silence, standing on opposite sides like strangers. But Emma can feel the weight of everything unspoken pressing against her ribs. Thank you for saving me. Why did you save me? What are we doing? Where is this going? Questions she can't ask because she's not sure she wants the answers. On the street, February wind cuts through her coat. Marcus waves down a taxi with the ease of someone used to the city bending to his will. Same address as last time. He opens the door for her, blocking the wind with his body. Yeah, thank you. For the work. And for... She gestures vaguely at everything. All of it. Thank you for saving my dinner party. Marcus's hand rests on the taxi door, and for a moment she thinks he might say something more. Something that acknowledges the current running between them, the impossibility of what they're both pretending isn't happening. But instead, he just closes the door gently and steps back onto the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, watching as the taxi pulls away. Emma watches him through the rear window until the taxi turns the corner. Then she slumps against the seat, closing her eyes and wonders when her life became this complicated. When did a drunken mistake turn into Saturday afternoons in a billionaire's apartment fixing dresses for women who spend more on dry cleaning than Emma makes in a month? Her phone buzzes. A text from Marcus. Forgot to say your rate is now triple standard for any work at my place. Non-negotiable. You're too talented to undervalue yourself. Emma stares at the message until the words blur. Triple rate. For alterations that take her a few hours. It's more money than she should accept, more than the work is worth, and they both know it. She types and deletes 3 responses before settling on, "That's too much." His reply is immediate. "That's my offer. Take it or I'll find someone else to overpay." Despite everything, the exhaustion, the confusion, the weight of carrying feelings she shouldn't have for a man she barely knows, Emma smiles. "Fine, but only because you're stubborn," says the woman who worked 4 hours without a break. "See you next Saturday, 3 p.m. Bring your machine." She doesn't ask what the job is, doesn't question why he's so determined to keep hiring her when Manhattan is full of tailors who'd work for half what he's offering. Just sends back a simple okay and watches the city slide past the taxi window, wondering what she's agreeing to beyond hemming dresses and taking in seams. When she gets home, her apartment feels smaller than before. She unpacks her machine, hangs up her coat, and stands in the center of her studio, staring at nothing. Her phone shows 3 new voicemails from Daniel. She deletes them without listening. Then she pulls out Mrs. Patterson's business card and sets it on her bedside table next to the framed photo of her mother and father on their wedding day. Her mother's dress had been simple handmade by her grandmother, worn with pride and no regrets. Emma traces the edge of the frame and makes a promise to herself. She'll take Marcus's work because the money's good and her pride can survive being well paid. She'll keep her distance from Lily because that little girl deserves more than a stranger who shows up to sew dresses. And she'll guard her heart against Marcus Thornton because men like him don't end up with women like her, no matter how many times they save each other. It's a good plan. Sensible. Professional. Everything she should want. So why does it feel like another kind of heartbreak waiting to happen? The next 3 months blur into a pattern Emma knows she should break, but can't seem to resist. Every Saturday at 3 o'clock she arrives at Marcus Thornton's building with her portable sewing machine and leaves 6 hours later with a check that feels too generous. The work varies: hemming trousers for a board member's son, taking in a bridesmaid dress for Marcus's assistant sister, altering a vintage suit jacket he found at an estate sale and wants restored to its former glory. The pattern holds steady until mid-May, when spring finally commits to warming the city and Lily's 7th birthday approaches with the force of an oncoming train. Marcus mentions it casually on a Saturday afternoon while Emma pins the waist of a cocktail dress that belongs to someone whose name she's already forgotten. "Lily wants you at her party next weekend." Emma's hand still on the fabric. Through the doorway she can hear Lily in her room singing along to some Disney soundtrack with passionate disregard for pitch. "That's not appropriate. I'm not family." You're the closest thing she has to a female presence in her life. Marcus stands at the window looking out at Central Park in full bloom. His shoulders carry tension like a second skin tight beneath his t-shirt. "My mother lives in Arizona. Sarah's mother hasn't spoken to me since the funeral. Lily talks about you constantly. Emma showed me how to sew a button. Emma said I could be a designer someday. Emma this and Emma that." The weight of being someone's touchstone settles heavy on Emma's chest. She returns to pinning, using the familiar motion to steady herself. What does she want for her birthday? "A sewing kit, and for you to teach her how to make doll clothes." Marcus turns from the window, and the afternoon light catches in his eyes. "I'm not asking you to replace her mother. I'm asking you to show up for a 7-year-old who thinks you hung the moon." Emma meets his gaze and finds something there beyond the careful distance he usually maintains: vulnerability maybe, or exhaustion from carrying too much alone for too long. She thinks about saying no, about maintaining boundaries that keep getting thinner with each Saturday she spends in this apartment, each smile from Lily, each moment Marcus looks at her like she's more than hired help. "What time?" The words escape before wisdom can stop them. 2 o'clock. Just family. Nothing formal. Something that might be relief softens the line of his jaw. Thank you. The following Saturday, Emma stands outside Marcus's building, holding a wrapped present, a child's sewing kit with safety scissors and colorful thread, and questioning every decision that led her here. The doorman recognizes her, now waves her through without calling up, and the elevator feels like a countdown to a moment she can't take back. Lily answers the door in a pink dress that's slightly too big, probably bought with room to grow. Her curls are pulled back with a matching ribbon, and her face lights up like Emma brought the sun itself. You came, I told Daddy you would, but he said maybe you were busy and I shouldn't get my hopes up, but I did anyway, and I was right. The 7-year-old launches herself at Emma with the full force of her joy, nearly knocking the present from Emma's hands. Marcus appears behind his daughter wearing jeans and a navy sweater that makes his eyes look darker. Lily let Emma breathe. And we talked about inside voices. Sorry, Daddy. I'm just really happy. Lily grabs Emma's hand, tugging her into the apartment that's been transformed with streamers and balloons in shades of purple and pink. Come see my cake. It has a princess and everything. The afternoon unfolds with the controlled chaos of a child's birthday party. Marcus's assistant stops by with her own daughter close to Lily's age, and the two girls disappear into Lily's room in a flurry of giggles. An older man arrives, Marcus's business partner, based on their conversation about quarterly projections, bringing his grandson, who promptly asks if there will be pizza. Emma finds herself in the kitchen with Marcus helping arrange pizza slices on plates while the kids run wild in the living room. The domestic simplicity of it catches her off guard, standing side by side at the counter, passing napkins and cups, moving around each other with the ease of people who've done this before, even though they haven't. This is nice. Marcus opens another pizza box, steam rising into the air between them. Having help, I usually do this alone. You throw good parties. Emma means it. The decorations are thoughtful. The food is what kids actually want to eat, and there's a genuine warmth to the gathering that speaks to Marcus's love for his daughter. I try. Lily deserves normal. Birthday parties and pizza and friends. His hand brushes Emma's as they both reach for the same plate, and neither of them pulls away immediately, even if her father has no idea what he's doing half the time. You're doing fine. The words come out softer than intended, weighted with truth Emma didn't plan to share. She's happy. That's what matters. They carry the food into the living room where the kids descend like locusts, and Emma settles onto the couch next to Marcus's assistant Rachel, who turns out to be funny and sharp and completely aware of the undercurrent between Emma and her boss. So you're the miracle tailor Marcus can't stop talking about. Rachel keeps her voice low, eyes on the children. He mentioned you're from Brooklyn, family business. My father's shop. He's been running it since the 70s. Emma watches Lily show off her new doll to the other little girl, their heads bent together in serious consultation. I've been working with him since I was 16. Marcus said you're incredibly talented. Also that you undercharge. Rachel's smile is knowing. He doubled your rate last month without telling you, didn't he? Added it to the checks? Heat floods Emma's face. She'd noticed the numbers didn't match her invoices but assumed it was a mistake. That's not appropriate. That's Marcus. When he values something, he makes sure it's compensated properly. Rachel stands gathering empty plates. Fair warning, he's terrible at expressing feelings but excellent at grand gestures. If you're not interested, make it clear now, before Lily gets more attached. The statement hangs in the air like smoke as Rachel moves to the kitchen, leaving Emma to process implications she's been avoiding for 3 months. The idea that Marcus might feel something beyond professional appreciation, that the generous payments and frequent work offers are about more than just skilled tailoring, it's too much, too fast, too impossible to reconcile with the careful distance he maintains. After pizza comes presents. Lily tears through wrapping paper with the enthusiasm of youth, delighting in each gift: a stuffed unicorn, a set of art supplies books about princesses who save themselves. When she opens Emma's sewing kit, her eyes go wide. Is this really mine, like to keep forever? Lily runs her fingers over the colorful thread spools with reverence. Can you teach me right now? After cake. Marcus ruffles his daughter's hair, and Emma catches a glimpse of who he must have been before loss carved lines around his mouth. We have to sing first. The cake is chocolate with pink frosting decorated with a princess that looks hand-piped rather than store-bought. Marcus lights 7 candles while the small gathering sings, his deep voice anchoring the off-key chorus. Lily closes her eyes to make a wish, and Emma finds herself wishing too for wisdom to walk away before this becomes something she can't untangle from. But when the party winds down and the guests leave, when Marcus asks if she'll stay to teach Lily the basics of threading a needle, Emma hears herself say yes. She sits at the dining room table with Lily between her knees, guiding small hands through the process of pulling thread through a needle's eye, tying knots that will hold. Marcus watches from the kitchen, supposedly cleaning up, but really just standing there with a dish towel in his hands, observing his daughter learn something his wife should have taught her. The ache of it must show on his face because when Emma glances up, their eyes meet and hold for 3 heartbeats too long. Like this. Emma, is this right? Lily holds up her first attempt, a crooked line of stitches on scrap fabric, uneven but earnest. That's perfect. You're a natural. Emma ties off the thread, showing Lily how to secure the end. With practice, you'll be making doll clothes in no time. Will you help me? Please, Daddy tries, but he's not very good at sewing. He poked himself with the needle 5 times last week. Lily looks up with those blue eyes that are becoming harder to resist. You could come every week. We could have sewing lessons. The offer sits between them, dangerous and tempting. Emma catches Marcus's expression, hope mixed with something that looks like fear, like he knows he should intervene but can't quite bring himself to do it. We'll see, sweetheart. I have to work at my dad's shop, too. Emma helps Lily pack up the sewing kit, buying time to avoid the real answer. But maybe sometimes, if your dad says it's okay. It's okay. Lily spins toward Marcus. Right, Daddy. You said Emma could come whenever she wants. I said Emma's always welcome here. That's different from expecting her to teach sewing lessons every week. Marcus finally sets down the dish towel, moving into the dining room with careful steps. Emma has her own life, Lily. We can't ask her to put it on hold for us. The word us does something to Emma's composure. Not just his daughter, both of them. A unit she's somehow become part of without noticing the transition from stranger to Saturday regular to this whatever this is. I should go. Emma stands too quickly, chair scraping against hardwood. It's getting late. It's 6:30. Lily's protest is immediate. That's not late. That's dinner time. You should stay for dinner. We always have too many leftovers. Lily, Marcus starts, but Emma cuts him off. I really can't. I have plans tonight. The lie tastes bitter but necessary. She gathers her things with hands that don't feel entirely steady, avoiding Marcus's gaze. Happy birthday, Lily. I'm glad you liked the present. The little girl hugs her with the fierce grip of someone who knows goodbye might mean something bigger than just tonight. Thank you for coming. You made my birthday special. Emma extracts herself before the emotion climbing her throat can escape as words she'll regret. Marcus walks her to the door in silence, and they stand in the hallway while the elevator makes its slow climb to the penthouse floor. You don't have to run. His voice is quiet, meant only for her. Whatever you're afraid of, we can talk about it. I'm not afraid. I'm being smart. Emma punches the elevator button again, even though it won't make the car arrive faster. Your assistant already warned me about grand gestures and getting attached. I'm just following good advice. Rachel talks too much. Marcus leans against the wall, arms crossed. The defensive posture is back walls rebuilding in real time. But she's not wrong. I am bad at this, at feelings and expressing them and all the things that normal people do when they... The elevator doors open and Emma steps inside before he can finish that sentence, before he can put words to what they both know is happening, making it real and impossible to ignore. Thank you for inviting me today. She keeps her hand on the door, preventing it from closing. Lily's lucky to have you. Emma. He reaches out like he might stop the elevator keeper here, force the conversation they're both avoiding. But his hand falls short, dropping back to his side. See you next Saturday. I don't think that's a good idea anymore. The words cost her more than she expected. I'll give you the number for another tailor. Someone who won't someone more appropriate. The elevator doors close on Marcus's expression, something between resignation and pain, and Emma slumps against the wall, closing her eyes against the sting of tears she refuses to shed. 3 months of Saturdays ending in an elevator cutting ties before they become cables she can't break free from. Her phone buzzes before she reaches the lobby. A text from Marcus. I understand. Thank you for everything you've done for Lily. She won't forget you. Emma deletes the message and blocks his number before she can respond. Then she steps out into the spring evening and catches a taxi home where her empty apartment waits with the same silent judgment it's offered every Saturday night when she returns smelling like Marcus's expensive soap and carrying checks she doesn't deserve. Sunday passes in a fog. Emma works at her father's shop hemming pants and taking in dresses, letting the familiar rhythm numb the hollow feeling in her chest. Tommy watches her with concerned eyes but doesn't push, having learned years ago that his daughter processes grief through work rather than words. Monday brings an unexpected visitor. Rachel appears at the shop during lunch dressed in a business suit that probably costs more than Emma's monthly rent. She takes in the small storefront with the practiced assessment of someone used to evaluating worth. Nice place, very authentic. Rachel perches on the edge of Emma's work table. Marcus doesn't know I'm here. This is entirely me being nosy and also worried about my friend who's been miserable since Saturday night. I'm not responsible for his feelings. Emma doesn't look up from the hem she's pinning, using precision to avoid the conversation. No, but you're responsible for your own, and I think you're making a mistake. Rachel picks up a spool of thread, turning it between her fingers. Marcus hasn't looked at anyone since Sarah died. Not once in 3 years. Then you show up drunk, vulnerable, needing help, and something shifted. He started smiling again. Making plans beyond work and Lily. Actually living instead of just surviving. The thread blurs in Emma's vision. She blinks hard, refusing to let emotion derail her resolve. He's my client. That's all. Anything else is inappropriate. Why? Because he has money and you don't. Because he's your client. Those are excuses, not reasons. Rachel sets down the thread, her voice gentler. I saw how you looked at him on Saturday, how he looked at you. That's not nothing. It has to be nothing. Emma finally meets Rachel's eyes. I just got out of a 4-year relationship that ended because my fiancé cheated. I can't. I'm not ready for whatever Marcus thinks he wants, especially not with a man who has a daughter who'll get hurt when it inevitably falls apart. What makes you so sure it'll fall apart? The question is soft but pointed. Maybe it'll work. Maybe you're exactly what they both need. Emma has no answer that doesn't sound like cowardice, so she returns to her pinning and waits for Rachel to leave. When she finally does, she leaves behind a business card with a handwritten note on the back. He's worth the risk. So are you. The card goes in the trash. Emma finishes her workday and goes home to her apartment where Daniel's latest voicemail waits, asking if she's ready to talk yet. She deletes it and orders Chinese food she doesn't eat, staring at her phone and resisting the urge to unblock Marcus's number. Tuesday brings a FedEx package. Inside is a check for $3,000 payment for services Emma never rendered, and a note in Marcus's precise handwriting. For the next 3 months of Saturdays you won't be coming. Consider it a severance package. Thank you for being kind to my daughter. M. Emma holds the check with shaking hands, anger rising hot and fast. He's paying her off, making sure she's compensated for the loss of income, reducing their relationship, whatever it was, to a transaction he can close out with money. It's pragmatic and thoughtful and absolutely infuriating. She rips the check in half, then quarters, then eighths, stuffs the pieces in an envelope with a note of her own. I don't want your money. I want... She stops, pen hovering over paper, because finishing that sentence means admitting things she's not ready to face. The envelope goes in her desk drawer unsent. The week crawls by with Emma throwing herself into work at the shop, taking on extra projects to fill the hours that used to belong to Marcus. Her father watches the descent with increasing worry, finally cornering her on Friday evening as she's closing up. "You want to tell me what's eating at you? Or should I keep pretending I don't notice you working yourself into exhaustion?" Tommy leans against the counter, arms crossed. "I'm fine, Dad. Just busy." "You're miserable. There's a difference." He studies her with eyes that have watched her grow from child to woman that know her, tells better than she knows them herself. "This about that Thornton fellow, the one who kept hiring you." Emma's hand still on the register. "How did you—" "I'm old, not stupid. You've been happier these past few months than I've seen you since before Daniel. Then last weekend something changed and now you're back to looking like someone stole your favorite pattern." Tommy moves closer, his weathered hand covering hers. "Talk to me, Emma Rose." The kindness breaks something loose in her chest. "I ended it. Before it could really start. Because I'm scared and he's complicated and his daughter deserves better than someone who's just going to leave when things get hard." "Who says you're going to leave?" Her father's voice carries the wisdom of 7 decades and the love of a man who raised her alone after Emma's mother died. "Seems to me you're running because staying requires courage you're not sure you have. What if I'm not enough? What if I can't be what Lily needs, what Marcus needs?" The confession spills out unchecked. "What if I fail them the way Daniel failed me? Then you fail, and you get back up and try again." Tommy squeezes her hand. "But you don't get to use fear as an excuse to walk away from something good. That's not how I raised you." Emma absorbs the words, turning them over in her mind like fabric under examination. Her father is right, she's running. Has been running since the moment she realized Marcus Thornton made her feel things Daniel never did. Hope. Safety. The terrifying possibility of building something real. She goes home that night and pulls the envelope from her desk drawer. Rewrites the note with steady hands. "I don't want your money. I want to stop being afraid of wanting you. Can we start over, E?" Saturday morning, she stands outside Marcus's building at 3 o'clock with the envelope clutched in one hand and her portable sewing machine in the other. The doorman raises an eyebrow but lets her through, and the elevator ride feels like the longest minute of her life. Lily answers the door, eyes widening in surprise and joy. "Emma, you came back. Daddy said you were too busy, but I knew you'd come back because you promised to teach me sewing. Is your dad home?" Emma's voice comes out steadier than she feels. "He's in his office. He's been grumpy all week. Maybe you can make him not grumpy anymore." Lily grabs Emma's hand, pulling her inside with the certainty of childhood. "Daddy, Emma's here." Marcus emerges from the hallway looking like he hasn't slept properly in days. His eyes find Emma, and something raw flashes across his face, surprise, hope, fear, all compressed into a single moment. "Lily, go to your room for a few minutes. Emma and I need to talk." His voice is rough, controlled. The little girl looks between them, reading the tension with 7-year-old wisdom, then retreats with her stuffed rabbit. When they're alone, Marcus and Emma stand on opposite sides of the living room like fighters in a ring, neither wanting to throw the first punch. "You blocked my number." He breaks the silence first, hands shoved in his pockets. "I got the message. I was scared. I still am." Emma sets down her sewing machine, holding up the envelope. "But I'm trying to be brave, the way my father taught me." Marcus crosses the room in 3 long strides, taking the envelope with hands that aren't entirely steady. He reads the note, eyes tracking across the words, and when he looks up, there's something in his expression that makes Emma's breath catch. "Starting over means I get to do this properly. Take you to dinner. Ask questions about your life beyond sewing. Introduce you to people as someone who matters." He steps closer, and Emma can smell his cologne, see the stubble he forgot to shave this morning. "I'm not good at this. At feelings and romance and all the things I should probably know how to do. But I want to try. With you." "What about Lily?" The question emerges softer than intended. "She's already attached. If this doesn't work..." Then we'll handle it together, like adults. Marcus reaches out slowly, giving Emma time to pull away, and when she doesn't, his hand cups her face with surprising gentleness. I'm not Daniel. I don't make promises I can't keep. If I say I want this, I mean it. Emma leans into his palm, letting herself feel the warmth of his skin against hers. I want this too. I'm terrified, but I want it. Good. Marcus's thumb brushes across her cheekbone. Because Lily's already planning our wedding and I'd hate to disappoint her. The absurdity of it breaks the tension. Emma laughs and Marcus smiles a real smile that transforms his whole face, and they stand there in his living room letting 3 months of careful distance collapse into something that might be the beginning of everything. Lily's voice drifts from her room. Are you done talking? Can Emma teach me sewing now? They break apart, and Marcus shakes his head with fond exasperation. My daughter has no patience. Neither do I, apparently. Emma picks up her sewing machine. Where should I set up? Dining room. I'll make coffee. Marcus catches her hand as she passes, stopping her for one more moment. Thank you for coming back, for being brave. Thank you for making it worth the fear. Emma squeezes his hand and lets go, moving toward the dining room where afternoon light spills through windows, and Lily waits with her sewing kit already pulling out thread and needles with determined focus. The afternoon unfolds with the rhythm Emma's been missing, teaching Lily basic stitches while Marcus works in his office, occasionally appearing with coffee or snacks, or just to watch them work. It feels domestic and right in a way that terrifies and excites Emma in equal measure. As the sun sets over Central Park, painting the living room in shades of amber and rose, Marcus orders Thai food and they eat around the dining room table like a family. Lily chatters about school and her friends and her plans to make doll clothes for every stuffed animal she owns. Marcus catches Emma's eye across the table and smiles, and she smiles back, thinking maybe, just maybe, courage is exactly what she needed all along. When Emma finally packs up to leave, Lily hugs her goodbye with the casual assumption that she'll be back. See you next Saturday, right? Right. Emma looks at Marcus over his daughter's head. Same time. Same time. But I'm taking you to dinner afterward. Somewhere nice. Just the two of us. His eyes hold a promise that has nothing to do with alterations or sewing lessons. If that's okay with you. That's more than okay. Emma shoulders her bag, warmth spreading through her chest. I'll see you then. The elevator doors close on Marcus and Lily waving from the doorway, and Emma rides down to street level with a smile she can't suppress. Her phone buzzes. Marcus's number restored a simple text. Thank you for giving us a chance. She responds without hesitation. Thank you for being worth it. The taxi ride home feels different this time. Brooklyn welcomes her back with familiar streets and bodega lights, but Emma carries Manhattan with her. Now the taste of possibility, the weight of Marcus's hand on her face, the sound of Lily's laughter. Her apartment doesn't feel quite so empty when she unlocks the door. She unpacks her sewing machine and finds the business card Rachel left, the one that ended up in the trash. This time she keeps it, setting it on her bedside table next to her parents' wedding photo. A reminder that taking risks sometimes leads to something worth keeping. Monday arrives with spring rain and a text from Marcus asking what kind of food she likes. They exchange messages throughout the day, small talk about favorite restaurants and whether she prefers Italian or French. It's normal and mundane and absolutely perfect. Tuesday brings another message, this time about Lily's school play next month. Would Emma want to come? She says yes before doubt can intervene. By Wednesday, the pattern is established. Daily texts. Saturday plans the slow building of something that feels like a foundation rather than a fling. Emma works at her father's shop with lighter steps, and Tommy notices but wisely keeps his observations to himself. Thursday evening, Emma's phone rings. Marcus's name on the screen sends her pulse racing even though they've been texting all week. She answers on the second ring. Hey. His voice is rough, strained. I know this is last minute, but I need help. Emma sits up straighter. What's wrong? The Patterson account. The $20 million deal I mentioned, it's falling apart. Mrs. Patterson's husband is in the hospital. Heart attack. She's dropping everything to fly to Boston tonight and taking her investment with her. Marcus sounds exhausted, defeated. 3 months of work gone. I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do? The question is automatic, driven by the need to ease his burden. Actually, yes. I need to meet with another potential investor tomorrow. Emergency pitch meeting. But my presentation suit doesn't fit right. I've lost weight from stress and the jacket's too loose. He pauses. Can you fix it tonight? I know it's asking a lot, but you're the only person I trust with this. Emma checks the time. 8:30. She has fabric to cut for tomorrow's orders, a hem to finish for a customer picking up at noon. But Marcus needs her, and that supersedes every practical consideration. Bring it over. I'll wait up. The relief in his voice is palpable. Thank you. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Emma tidies her apartment with the nervous energy of someone whose personal and professional lives are about to collide. When Marcus arrives, he's still in a business suit from whatever meeting preceded this crisis, carrying a garment bag and looking like he's been awake for 3 days straight. You look terrible. Emma takes the garment bag, leading him inside. When's the last time you slept? Monday, maybe Sunday. Time's blurring. Marcus collapses onto her thrift store couch, running his hands through his hair. If I don't land another investor by end of month, the whole venture folds. 2 years of planning millions in projected revenue jobs for people who need them all gone. Emma hangs the garment bag on her closet door, studying Marcus with concern that goes beyond professional courtesy. You need to take care of yourself. No deal is worth destroying your health. Tell that to the 30 employees who'll lose their jobs if this fails. He leans back, eyes closing. Tell that to Lily, who deserves a father who can provide stability. Lily deserves a father who's alive and present, not working himself to death. Emma sits beside him, close enough to feel his warmth. You're allowed to be human, Marcus, to need help, to fail sometimes. He opens his eyes, turning to look at her. I haven't failed at anything since Sarah died. Can't afford to. Failing means falling apart, and I can't fall apart because Lily needs me whole. The admission hangs between them, raw and honest. Emma takes his hand, threading their fingers together. Then let me help hold you together. That's what people who care about each other do. Marcus stares at their joined hands like he's trying to memorize the sight. I'm not used to having someone. Haven't let myself need anyone in 3 years. Well, you're stuck with me now, so get used to it. Emma stands, pulling him up with her. Come on, I need you to try on the jacket so I can see what we're working with. He follows her to the small corner she's designated as workspace, shrugging out of his current jacket. The suit he needs, altered, is navy, impeccably tailored, but hanging loose through the torso and shoulders. Emma helps him into it, her hands professional as she assesses the fit, marking spots that need taking in. You've lost at least 15 pounds. She pins the back, creating new seam lines. This isn't healthy stress, Marcus. This is you not eating, not sleeping, pushing yourself past reasonable limits. I know. His voice is quiet, resigned. But I don't know how to stop. How to turn off the part of my brain that says everything depends on me. Emma works in silence, pinning and marking, thinking about the man in front of her who carries too much alone. When she finishes the initial alterations, she helps him out of the jacket and guides him back to the couch. Sit, I'm making you food. She moves to her tiny kitchen before he can protest. And you're going to eat it, then sleep on my couch for a few hours while I fix your suit. Non-negotiable. Emma. Non-negotiable, Marcus. She pulls leftover pasta from the fridge, heating it with the efficiency of someone used to cooking for one. You can't pitch to investors if you pass out mid-sentence. He doesn't argue, just accepts the plate she hands him and eats with the mechanical motion of someone who forgot food was supposed to taste like something. Emma watches him while her sewing machine hums, taking in the suit with precision stitches, and thinks about how strange it is that this feeding a man on her couch while altering his clothes feels more intimate than anything she shared with Daniel in 4 years. By midnight, Marcus is asleep, sitting up, plate balanced on his lap. Emma takes it carefully, setting it in the sink, then drapes a blanket over his shoulders. He doesn't wake, just shifts slightly and keeps sleeping with the exhaustion of someone who hasn't rested properly in weeks. She returns to her sewing machine, working through the quiet hours, while rain patters against her window. The suit comes together perfectly, taken in just enough to look sharp without appearing tailored recently. By 3 a.m. it's finished, pressed, and hanging on her closet door. Emma makes coffee and settles into the chair across from her couch, watching Marcus sleep. In rest, the lines around his mouth soften, the tension in his shoulders releases. He looks younger, more like the man he might have been before loss and responsibility carved him into someone who can't afford to break. Dawn creeps through her windows with gray light, and Marcus stirs. His eyes open slowly, disoriented, until they find Emma sitting across from him with her second cup of coffee. "What time is it?" His voice is rough from sleep. 6:30. Your suit's ready. You have time to go home, shower, and make your 9 o'clock meeting. Emma stands retrieving the garment bag. I took in the shoulders and torso. It should fit perfectly now. Marcus sits up, running a hand over his face. You stayed up all night. Someone had to. She hands him the suit, their fingers brushing. Go save your company. Then go home and sleep for 12 hours. In that order. He stands, pulling her into a hug that's fierce and grateful, and over too quickly. I don't know how to thank you. Land the investor. That's thanks enough. Emma steps back before she can do something stupid like kiss him. Now get out of here. You have a pitch to nail. Marcus leaves with his suit and a promise to call her after the meeting. Emma locks the door behind him and stands in her apartment that still smells like his cologne, wondering when her life became this late-night alterations and sleeping CEOs and feelings too big to fit in her chest. She doesn't sleep, just showers and dresses and walks to her father's shop through morning Brooklyn, carrying the weight of last night like a secret. Tommy takes one look at her face and pours her coffee without asking questions. The day passes in a haze. Emma works on automatic hemming and pinning and cutting, while her mind replays Marcus asleep on her couch, the way his hand felt in hers, the raw honesty of his admission that he hasn't let himself need anyone since his wife died. At 2 o'clock, her phone rings. Marcus's name on the screen makes her heart jump. How'd it go? She steps into the back room, needing privacy for whatever comes next. We got it. $15 million in initial funding pending due diligence. The suit was perfect. I was perfect. Everything came together. Marcus sounds lighter than she's ever heard him, like someone just lifted a year of weight from his shoulders. Thank you. For everything. For staying up, for fixing the suit, for making me eat and rest. You're welcome. Emma leans against the wall, relief flooding through her. Now go home and sleep. I will. But first, dinner Saturday. Not at my place. Somewhere nice where I can take you on an actual date. His voice softens. I want to do this right, Emma. I want to prove I can be the kind of man you deserve. You already are. The words slip out before she can stop them, true and terrifying. I'll see you Saturday. She hangs up before emotion can derail her composure, standing in the back room of her father's shop with her phone pressed to her chest, thinking about how fast everything changed. One drunk night turning into Saturday alterations, turning into late-night suit emergencies, turning into this, the free fall of falling for someone who scares and excites her in equal measure. Saturday arrives with sunshine and the kind of spring warmth that makes New York feel possible again. Emma stands in front of her closet for 20 minutes before settling on a simple blue dress that brings out her eyes. She takes the subway to Marcus's building with butterflies in her stomach and arrives at 3 o'clock exactly. Lily answers the door in paint-covered overalls, immediately grabbing Emma's hand. Come see what I made. I sewed a dress for Mrs. Whiskers all by myself. The afternoon proceeds as usual, sewing lessons and coffee, and Lily's cheerful chatter filling comfortable silence. But underneath runs a current of anticipation, the knowledge that tonight will be different. Tonight is about more than just alterations and borrowed Saturday afternoons. At 6 o'clock, Marcus's mother arrives to watch Lily. She's a small woman with kind eyes who hugs Emma like they've known each other for years. So you're the miracle worker Marcus won't stop talking about. It's nice to finally meet you. Marcus appears from his bedroom wearing a suit Emma hasn't altered, looking nervous in a way she's never seen him. Ready. She nods and they leave together while Lily waves from the window, already planning adventures with her grandmother. The restaurant is French intimate with soft lighting and a wine list that makes Emma's eyes widen. Marcus orders for both of them with the confidence of someone who's done this before, and Emma lets him, grateful not to navigate choices she doesn't understand. Tell me about growing up in Brooklyn. Marcus leans forward, genuinely interested. About your father and the shop and what made you fall in love with sewing. Emma talks about Sunday mornings learning from her father, about her mother who died when she was 12, about finding solace in fabric and thread when the world felt too big and painful. Marcus listens with the kind of attention that makes her feel heard, asking questions that show he's actually processing what she's saying. When the food arrives, something delicate and French that tastes better than it looks, Marcus tells her about growing up in Connecticut, about business school, and meeting Sarah, about Lily's birth and Sarah's diagnosis, and the 3 years of fighting before death finally won. I thought I'd never feel anything again after she died. He sets down his fork, meeting Emma's eyes. Just go through motions, work, parent, exist. Then you showed up drunk and vulnerable and something shifted, like someone turned the lights back on. Emma's throat tightens. I'm not her, can never be her. I don't want you to be her. I want you to be you, the woman who fixes impossible alterations, who teaches my daughter sewing, who stayed up all night because I needed help. Marcus reaches across the table, taking her hand. I want whatever this is, as terrifying as it feels. It does feel terrifying. Emma turns their hands over, studying the contrast of his fingers against hers. But it also feels right. Like maybe I was supposed to get drunk that night. Supposed to meet you. Supposed to end up here. I don't believe in fate, but I believe in choices. Marcus's thumb traces circles on her palm. And I'm choosing you, if you'll have me. Emma thinks about Daniel, about broken promises and shattered trust, then thinks about Marcus sleeping on her couch, about Lily's bright laughter, about Saturday afternoons that became the best part of her week. She thinks about her father's words. Courage means staying even when leaving feels safer. I'm choosing you too. The words feel like jumping off a cliff, trusting there's something to catch her fall. Even though I'm scared, even though I don't know how this ends. Nobody knows how anything ends. Marcus smiles and it transforms his whole face. We just figure it out as we go. They finish dinner talking about everything and nothing, favorite books, worst clients' dreams for the future. When the check arrives, Marcus pays despite Emma's protest, and they walk out into spring night holding hands like teenagers. He kisses her under a street light, soft and careful, asking permission with his eyes before his lips meet hers. Emma kisses back, letting herself feel the warmth of it, the possibility. When they break apart, they're both smiling. I should get you home. Marcus keeps her hand in his as they walk toward the curb. Lily will want a full report on our date, and I promised my mother I wouldn't stay out too late. Very responsible of you. Emma lets him hail a taxi, lets him open the door for her, lets him care in all the small ways she's not used to being cared for. The ride back to Brooklyn feels too short. When the taxi stops outside her building, Marcus walks her to her door, even though she insists he doesn't have to. They stand in her building's dim hallway, neither wanting to say goodnight. Same time next week. Marcus tucks a strand of hair behind her ear. Sewing lessons and dinner after. Same time. Emma leans up, kissing him once more because she can. Thank you for tonight, for being brave enough to ask. Thank you for being brave enough to say yes. He steps back, hands in his pockets. Sleep well, Emma. She watches him leave, waiting until he's in the taxi and pulling away before she unlocks her door. Inside her apartment, Emma leans against the wall and lets herself feel it all. The joy, the fear, the overwhelming sense that her life just shifted onto a new path. Her phone buzzes. Marcus, already counting down to Saturday. Emma responds. Me too. And for the first time since Daniel broke her heart, she allows herself to believe in happy endings. The next 2 months unfold, with the rhythm of building something real. Emma divides her time between her father's shop and Marcus's penthouse, teaching Lily to sew, while Marcus works from his home office, occasionally emerging to watch them with an expression that makes Emma's chest ache. Saturdays stretch into Sundays, dinner dates multiply into weekday lunches, and slowly, carefully they weave their separate lives into something that resembles a shared future. But August arrives with humidity that makes the city feel like breathing through wet cotton, and with it comes a phone call that shatters the careful peace they've built. Emma is finishing a hem at the shop when her phone rings. Unknown number, Boston area code. She almost doesn't answer, but something makes her thumb the accept button. "Is this Emma Garrett?" The voice is female, older cultured in a way that speaks to old money and prep schools. "Speaking. Who's this?" "Margaret Chen, Sarah Thornton's mother." A pause heavy with significance. "Marcus's former mother-in-law. I think we need to talk about my granddaughter." Emma's hands freeze on the fabric. In 4 months of dating, Marcus, Sarah's mother, has been a ghost, mentioned only as the woman who cut contact after the funeral, who blamed Marcus for not saving her daughter from the cancer that killed her. "I'm listening." Emma forces her voice steady, professional. "I'm in New York for the week. I'd like to meet. Tomorrow, if possible. The Plaza Tea Room, 2 o'clock. It's not quite a request. Come alone. This conversation doesn't concern Marcus. Every instinct screams warning, but Emma hears herself agreeing before wisdom can intervene. The call ends, and she sits in the quiet shop holding her phone and wondering what Sarah's mother could possibly want after 3 years of silence. She doesn't tell Marcus about the call, doesn't mention it during their Tuesday dinner or Wednesday evening when she stops by to drop off alterations for his business partner. The secret sits heavy in her chest, but some part of her needs to hear what Margaret Chen has to say before involving Marcus in whatever this is. Thursday afternoon, Emma takes the subway to Midtown, wearing her best dress and carrying anxiety like a second skin. The Plaza's tea room is exactly what she expected: crystal and white tablecloths and women in pearls discussing charity galas. Margaret Chen sits in a corner booth, silver hair swept into an elegant chignon, wearing a suit that probably costs more than Emma's monthly rent. "Miss Garrett, thank you for coming." Margaret doesn't stand, just gestures to the empty seat across from her. "I took the liberty of ordering. You strike me as an Earl Grey person." Emma slides into the booth, feeling underdressed and outmaneuvered. "What's this about Mrs. Chen?" Direct. "I appreciate that." Margaret pours tea with practiced grace. "I want to discuss your relationship with Marcus and what it means for my granddaughter. With all due respect, you haven't seen Lily in 3 years. You don't get to suddenly decide what's best for her now." Emma keeps her voice low but firm, refusing to be intimidated. "I made a mistake. Blaming Marcus for Sarah's death, cutting off contact, it was grief talking, not reason." Margaret sets down the teapot, meeting Emma's eyes. "But I've been watching from a distance. I know about you. The tailor from Brooklyn who's been spending every weekend with my granddaughter." The surveillance feels invasive wrong. Emma's fingers tighten on her teacup. "You've been spying on us. I've been concerned. Lily is the only piece of my daughter I have left. I need to know the woman influencing her is appropriate." Margaret sips her tea with maddening calm. "I've done my research, Miss Garrett. Broke off an engagement 6 months ago. Works in her father's struggling shop. No college degree, no real prospects beyond sewing. Tell me what makes you think you're suitable for Marcus Thornton." The words land like slaps, each one designed to sting. Emma forces herself to breathe, to remember her worth isn't defined by this woman's opinion. "I make him happy. I make Lily happy. That's what makes me suitable." Happiness is temporary. What happens when Marcus realizes he's settling? When he needs someone who can navigate his world, charity events, investor dinners, the social circles he moves in? Margaret leans forward. "You're a distraction, Miss Garrett. a rebound from grief. When he comes to his senses, you'll be the one who gets hurt. And worse, so will Lily. Emma stands unable to sit through more poison disguised as concern. This meeting is over. You don't get to decide Marcus's life or mine. I'm offering you $50,000 to walk away. Clean break. Tell Marcus you've realized it won't work, move on with your life. Margaret pulls an envelope from her purse, sliding it across the table. Spare everyone the inevitable pain. The envelope sits between them like a grenade. Emma stares at it, thinking about rent and her father's aging equipment and all the practical reasons accepting would make sense. Then she thinks about Marcus sleeping on her couch, about Lily's bright laughter, about Saturday afternoons that became the foundation of something real. Keep your money, Mrs. Chen. I'm not for sale. Emma turns and walks out of the tea room with her head high, leaving Margaret Chen and her envelope behind. But the words follow her home, burrowing under her skin like splinters. No college degree, no real prospects. What makes you think you're suitable? Questions she's asked herself in quiet moments. Doubts she's tried to silence with Marcus's reassurances that she's enough exactly as she is. She doesn't mention the meeting to Marcus that night when he calls, or Friday when they have dinner. The secret grows heavier, complicated by Margaret's accusations that Emma might be holding Marcus back, limiting his world by being too small for it. Saturday morning brings a text from Marcus. Something came up with work. Can we reschedule tonight's dinner? I'm sorry. Emma stares at the message, Margaret's voice echoing in her head. A distraction, a rebound. When he comes to his senses, she responds with a simple, no problem. Let me know when you're free. And tries not to read meaning into canceled plans. Sunday passes with no word. Monday brings a brief text apologizing for being swamped. Tuesday, nothing. By Wednesday, Emma's anxiety has crystallized into certainty that Margaret was right. Marcus is realizing Emma doesn't fit, pulling away before he has to have the uncomfortable conversation. Thursday evening, her father finds her crying in the back room of the shop, surrounded by fabric scraps and half-finished hems. What happened? Tommy pulls up a chair, his weathered hand covering hers. The story spills out: Margaret's meeting, the $50,000 offer, Marcus's sudden distance. Tommy listens without interrupting, his expression darkening as Emma describes the accusations Margaret leveled. That woman's poison. Tommy's voice carries the steel of a father protecting his child. But Marcus's silence, that's on him. You need to talk to him, Emma rose. Can't build anything real on assumptions and fear. What if she's right? What if I'm not enough for his world? The admission costs her, revealing the insecurity she's been nursing since that first morning in Marcus's penthouse. Then his world isn't good enough for you. Tommy squeezes her hand. But you don't know that's what he's thinking. Could be work, could be stress, could be anything except what you're imagining. Talk to him. Emma takes her father's advice, texting Marcus, "We need to talk. Can I come by tomorrow evening?" His response comes an hour later. Yes, 7 p.m. I'm sorry I've been distant. Work crisis. I'll explain everything. The relief is temporary, replaced by dread about what explain everything might mean. Emma barely sleeps, running through possible conversations in her head until dawn light creeps through her window. Friday drags with the speed of molasses. Emma works mechanically, finishing orders without really seeing them, until finally it's 6:30 and she's standing outside Marcus's building with her heart in her throat. He answers the door, looking exhausted, dark circles under his eyes and stubble that's crossed from fashionable into unkempt. The apartment behind him is chaos, papers scattered across every surface, empty coffee mugs colonizing the dining table, evidence of someone working himself into the ground. Come in. Sorry about the mess. Marcus runs a hand through his hair, the gesture familiar and tired. Lily's at my mother's for the week. School's out and I've been dealing with a crisis. Emma follows him inside, taking in the wreckage of his normally pristine space. What kind of crisis? The kind that threatens everything we've built. Marcus collapses onto the couch, gesturing for Emma to sit. Remember the Patterson deal falling through? We found a replacement investor, Chen Industries. 15 million perfect terms contracts ready to sign. Then this week they pulled out. No explanation, just a terse email saying they'd reconsidered. Chen. The name hits Emma like cold water. Margaret Chen. Marcus looks up sharply. You know her. The secret Emma's been carrying breaks open, spilling the truth between them. She tells him about the phone call, the meeting at the plaza, the $50,000 offer to disappear. With every word, Marcus's expression hardens until he's staring at her with something close to fury. She offered you money to leave me. His voice is dangerously quiet. And you didn't think I should know? I didn't want to worry you. Didn't think it mattered because I said no. Emma's hands twist in her lap. I didn't realize she'd retaliate like this. She's punishing me through my company, through the 30 jobs that depend on this funding the project I've spent 2 years building. Marcus stands pacing. Because I'm dating someone she deems inappropriate. Because my choices don't meet her standards for what's suitable. The word suitable cuts like Margaret intended it to. Emma forces herself to ask the question burning in her chest. Is she right? Am I holding you back? Marcus stops mid-pace, turning to stare at her. What? I don't have a degree, don't know how to navigate your world, can't help you land investors or attend charity galas without feeling like an imposter. Emma stands facing him across the wreckage of his living room. Maybe you'd be better off with someone who fits, someone like Sarah. Don't. The word cracks like a whip. Don't compare yourself to Sarah, and don't let that woman's poison convince you you're not enough. But what if I'm not? What if loving me costs you everything you've worked for? Emma's voice breaks on the admission she's been avoiding. I can't be the reason your company fails, Marcus. Can't be responsible for people losing their jobs because your former mother-in-law disapproves. Marcus crosses to her in 3 strides, hands gripping her shoulders. You're not responsible for Margaret's vindictiveness. She's using my company as leverage because she knows it's the one thing that might make me choose differently. But I won't. I choose you, Emma, even if it costs me the deal. You can't mean that. 30 people. We'll find other jobs. I'll make sure of it. Marcus's eyes burn with intensity. But I can't find another you. Won't try to. You're not a distraction or a rebound or any of the things Margaret said. You're the person who makes me want to be more than just a father and a CEO, who makes me feel alive again. Emma wants to believe him, wants to let his words erase Margaret's accusations, but the practical part of her brain, the part that grew up watching her father struggle to keep his shop afloat, can't ignore reality. What if there's another way? What if I talk to her? Convince her we're serious, that I'm not using you? Absolutely not. You're not negotiating with someone who tried to buy you off. Marcus's grip tightens. I'll find another investor. There are other options. In how much time you said contracts were ready to sign, which means you've already committed resources, made promises. Emma pulls back, seeing the situation clearly for the first time. How long before the company runs out of runway? The silence is answer enough. Marcus turns away, shoulders tight with tension. 6 weeks. Maybe 8 if I cut salaries and delay production. 6 weeks to find $15 million. Emma thinks about the envelope Margaret offered, about the woman's cultured certainty that Emma would eventually see reason. Pride wars with practicality, and practicality wins. Let me try. Emma moves to stand beside him. One conversation. I'll make it clear we're together, that I'm not going anywhere, and see if she'll reconsider the investment. If she still says no, then we know we tried everything. I don't want you subjecting yourself to that woman's cruelty. Marcus won't look at her jaw working. Don't want you feeling like you have to prove your worth to someone whose opinion doesn't matter. It matters if it saves your company, if it keeps 30 people employed. Emma takes his hand. Let me do this. Not because I think she's right, but because I love you, and this is something I can help with. The admission hangs in the air between them, the first time either has said those words aloud. Marcus turns, eyes searching her face. Say that again. I love you. Emma's voice is steady despite the fear coursing through her. And people who love each other help carry the weight. So let me help carry this. Marcus pulls her into a kiss that tastes like desperation and gratitude, his hands tangling in her hair. When they break apart, he rests his forehead against hers. I love you too. Have for weeks, maybe months. Was just too scared to say it. Then trust me to handle Margaret Chen. Emma steps back, squaring her shoulders. Give me her number. I'll set up a meeting. The meeting happens Tuesday afternoon at a coffee shop. Emma chooses neutral territory public enough that Margaret can't make a scene. Emma arrives early, ordering coffee she doesn't drink while rehearsing arguments in her head. When Margaret walks in wearing Chanel and disapproval, Emma stands to greet her. Mrs. Chen, thank you for agreeing to meet. Miss Garrett. Margaret sits without preamble. I assume you've reconsidered my offer. Ready to accept the inevitable. I'm here to ask you to reconsider the investment in Marcus's company. Emma keeps her voice level, professional. Whatever issues you have with me, 30 innocent people shouldn't suffer because of them. Those 30 people chose to work for a man with questionable judgment. They'll land on their feet. Margaret signals the waiter for tea. But you're more persistent than I gave you credit for. Most women would have taken the money and run. I'm not most women, and I'm not leaving Marcus. Emma leans forward. I understand you lost your daughter, that you're grieving and looking for someone to blame. But Marcus loved Sarah, loves Lily, is building a good life despite the tragedy, and I'm part of that life now. You can accept it, or you can keep punishing him, but either way, I'm staying. Margaret's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in her eyes, surprise maybe, or grudging respect. You have spine. I'll give you that. Sarah would have liked you. The statement catches Emma off guard. What? My daughter was many things, but she wasn't precious about her position. She valued substance over pedigree, character over credentials. Margaret's voice softens fractionally. She'd have approved of someone who fights for what they believe in, who doesn't let money or status intimidate them. Then honor her memory by supporting the man she loved, the company he's building, the family he's trying to create. Emma doesn't let hope cloud her judgment, but she presses the advantage. You can't bring Sarah back, but you can be part of Lily's life, part of the future instead of stuck in the past. Margaret sips her tea, studying Emma with the calculation of someone used to assessing worth. If I reinstate the investment, I want something in return. I already said I won't leave Marcus. I'm not asking you to. I want access to my granddaughter. Regular visits, holidays, the relationship I should have maintained these past 3 years. Margaret sets down her cup. I want to be Lily's grandmother again, and I want you to help facilitate that reconciliation with Marcus. Emma weighs the request, looking for the trap. Why do you need me? You could reach out directly. Because Marcus hates me, has every right to hate me for abandoning Lily when she needed family most. Margaret's composure cracks slightly. But he listens to you, trusts you. If you vouch for my intentions, he might give me a chance to make amends. The honesty surprises Emma more than the request. She thinks about Lily, about the little girl who draws families with 3 people because that's what she's missing, about Marcus shouldering parenthood alone because his own family is scattered and Sarah's mother chose grief over connection. I'll talk to him. Can't promise he'll agree, but I'll make the case. Emma extends her hand across the table. And you'll reinstate the investment, full terms, no strings beyond the visitation arrangement. Margaret shakes her hand with a grip that's surprisingly firm. Full terms. Contracts can be signed by Friday. I'll have my lawyers draw up a separate agreement regarding Lily's supervised visits, initially increasing to unsupervised as trust rebuilds. Supervised by me. Emma releases her hand. I won't leave Lily alone with someone she doesn't remember until I'm sure it's safe. Agreed. Margaret stands, gathering her purse. You're good for him, Miss Garrett. For both of them. I was wrong to try to buy you off. Call me Emma. If we're going to be doing this, might as well drop the formality. Emma stands too, feeling lighter than she has in days. Emma, then. I'm Margaret. The older woman's smile is small but genuine. I'll send the investment contracts to Marcus's lawyers today. The custody arrangement will take longer, but I'll have something drafted by end of week. She leaves and Emma sits back down, pulling out her phone to call Marcus. He answers on the first ring, voice tight with anxiety. How did it go? She's reinstating the investment. Full terms. Emma takes a breath. But there's a condition you need to hear before you celebrate. She explains the visitation arrangement, Margaret's desire to be part of Lily's life again, the supervised meetings Emma offered to facilitate. Marcus is silent for so long Emma thinks the call dropped. Marcus, you still there? I'm here, just processing. His exhale is shaky. Margaret wants to be a grandmother after 3 years of nothing. She wants to make amends. Whether you let her is your choice, but I believe she's genuine. Emma watches people pass outside the coffee shop window, normal lives proceeding while hers gets more complicated. She said Sarah would have liked me. Sarah would have loved you. Marcus's voice roughens. You're everything she valued: strength, authenticity, loyalty. I just wish you didn't have to prove those things to her mother. It was worth it if it saves your company. Emma signals for the check. I'm coming over. We need to talk about how to handle this with Lily. She arrives at Marcus's apartment an hour later to find him in clean clothes, the papers cleared away, evidence of someone trying to restore order to chaos. He pulls her into a hug the moment she's through the door, holding on like she's the only solid thing in his world. Thank you. The words are muffled against her hair. For fighting for us. For the company. For being braver than I gave you credit for. You would have done the same. Emma pulls back to look at him. That's what love means. Fighting for each other even when it's hard. They spend the evening discussing strategy, how to introduce Lily to the grandmother who's been absent from her life, what boundaries to set, how to protect her if the reconciliation fails. By the time Emma leaves for Brooklyn, they have a plan, and Marcus has his company's future secured. Friday brings the signed contracts, $15 million flowing into Marcus's accounts with terms that are generous enough to prove Margaret meant her apology. Saturday. Marcus picks up Lily from his mother's house and brings her to the Penthouse to explain that her grandmother wants to meet her. Emma is there for the conversation, sitting beside Marcus on the couch while Lily processes information that would confuse anyone, let alone a 7-year-old. I have another grandma. Where was she? She was sad when your mommy died. So sad she couldn't be around for a while. Marcus chooses his words carefully. But she's ready now. She wants to know you if you want to know her. Lily looks at Emma, seeking reassurance. Will you be there when I meet her? Every time until you say you don't need me. Emma takes the little girl's hand. I promise. The first meeting happens the following Tuesday at Central Park Neutral Ground, with ice cream as a buffer. Margaret arrives wearing slacks instead of a suit, her composure cracking when she sees Lily for the first time in 3 years. You look so much like your mother. Lily hides behind Emma's legs, uncertain of this stranger who claims relation. Emma crouches down, speaking softly. This is your grandma Margaret. She knew your mommy when your mommy was little, just like you. Did my mommy like ice cream? Lily's question is tentative testing. She loved it. Chocolate with sprinkles every single time. Margaret's voice wavers. Just like you, I'd bet. Lily nods, stepping slightly away from Emma's protection. Can we get ice cream now? They walk to the ice cream cart together, an awkward procession of almost family trying to bridge 3 years of absence. Emma and Marcus hang back, letting Margaret and Lily navigate their own connection while staying close enough to intervene if needed. By the time they finish their ice cream, Lily is showing Margaret her favorite playground equipment and chattering about school. Margaret listens with the desperate attention of someone making up for lost time, asking questions and laughing at Lily's jokes. When they part ways, Margaret hugs Lily goodbye with tears in her eyes. Can I see you again next week? Lily looks at Marcus and Emma for permission. At their nods, she turns back to Margaret. Okay, but Emma has to come too. Deal. Margaret kneels to Lily's level. Thank you for giving me a chance, sweetheart. I promise I won't disappear again. The visits become regular, twice a week at first, then more frequently as Lily's comfort grows. Emma supervises every meeting, watching the relationship rebuild with the slow patience of plants growing toward sunlight. By September, Lily calls Margaret Grandma Maggie and asks when she can visit the Boston house. Marcus's company launches its sustainable fashion line to critical acclaim and strong pre-orders. The 30 employees he worried about losing their jobs are instead getting bonuses and profit sharing. On the night of the launch party, Marcus pulls Emma aside in his penthouse while Lily sleeps over at Margaret's for the first time. "I have something for you." He leads her to the window overlooking Central Park, autumn turning the trees to flame. "You've been coming here every Saturday for 7 months. Teaching Lily, fixing impossible alterations, saving my company, rebuilding my relationship with my former mother-in-law." He turns to face her, pulling a small box from his pocket. "You've become essential. To Lily, to me, to everything that matters in my life." Emma's breath catches as he opens the box, revealing a ring, simple, solitaire, elegant without being ostentatious. "Marcus, I'm not good with words, never have been, but I love you, Emma Garrett. Love how you challenge me and support me and refuse to let me settle for less than I deserve." He drops to one knee and Emma's vision blurs with tears. "Marry me. Be Lily's mother. Build this life with me for real, with vows and promises, and forever." Emma thinks about the drunk girl who woke up in a stranger's apartment 7 months ago, lost and broken, and certain she'd never trust anyone again. Then thinks about the woman she is now, stronger, braver, loved by a man who sees her worth even when she doubts it herself. "Yes." The word comes out choked with emotion. "Yes, I'll marry you." Marcus slides the ring onto her finger, then stands and kisses her with the kind of joy that makes Emma believe in happy endings. They hold each other while the city sparkles below two people who found each other in the wreckage of loss and built something worth keeping. When Lily comes home the next morning, she finds them making breakfast together, Emma wearing the ring that catches morning light. The little girl's eyes go wide, then she's launching herself at them both, squealing with delight. Does this mean Emma's staying forever? Forever and ever? Marcus lifts his daughter, including Emma, in the embrace. "If that's okay with you." "It's perfect." Lily wraps her arms around Emma's neck. "Can I call you Mom?" Emma's throat constricts with the weight of the honor, the responsibility, the absolute rightness of it. "I'd like that very much." They stand in the kitchen of Marcus's penthouse, soon to be their penthouse, and Emma realizes this is what love looks like. Not the fairy tale romance she imagined in her 20s, but something deeper, messier, real. A CEO and a tailor and a little girl building family from the scraps of heartbreak and loss. Her phone buzzes with a text from her father. "Congratulations, Emma Rose. I'm proud of you. Your mother would be too." Marcus must have called him already, sharing the news. Emma sends back a heart emoji and lets herself feel the fullness of this moment, the life she chose, the family she's joining, the future spreading out before her like fabric ready to be cut and sewn into something beautiful. That evening they tell Margaret over dinner at a restaurant Emma picks, not too fancy, comfortable enough for Lily to be herself. Margaret cries when she sees the ring reaching across the table to grip Emma's hand. "Sarah would be so happy Marcus found you, that Lily has you." "I'm going to do my best." Emma squeezes back, meaning it. "For all of them." The wedding happens in November at City Hall, small and perfect, with just Tommy, Margaret, Rachel, and Lily in attendance. Emma wears a dress she sewed herself, simple ivory silk, with hand-embroidered details that took her 3 weeks to complete. Marcus wears the first suit she ever altered for him, brought back from his closet for the occasion. Lily serves as flower girl and ring bearer, taking both jobs with 7-year-old seriousness. When the officiant pronounces them married, Marcus kisses Emma like she's air, and he's been drowning, and Lily claps so hard her hands must hurt. They celebrate with dinner at a restaurant that serves both Thai food and chicken fingers, honoring everyone's preferences. Tommy and Margaret discover shared interests in gardening and old movies, bonding over stories about their respective grandchildren. Rachel gives a toast that makes everyone laugh and cry in equal measure. That night, Emma moves the last of her belongings into Marcus's penthouse, officially theirs now legally binding. She hangs her clothes in the closet beside his expensive suits, arranges her sewing supplies in the corner he's designated as her workspace, and tucks Lily into bed with promises of pancakes in the morning. When she finally crawls into bed beside her husband, the word still feels new and wonderful. Marcus pulls her close, pressing a kiss to her temple. No regrets. Not even one. Emma settles against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Just that I didn't find you sooner. That we wasted time being careful when we could have been brave. He tightens his arms around her. But we're here now. That's what matters. Emma closes her eyes, thinking about the journey from drunk stranger to wife and mother, from lonely tailor to essential part of something bigger than herself. The path wasn't straight or easy, required courage she didn't know she possessed. But here in the dark, with Marcus's steady breathing beside her and Lily sleeping safely down the hall, Emma understands that the best things in life are rarely easy. They're the things worth fighting for, worth proving you deserve, worth building stitch by careful stitch until you've created something that lasts. She falls asleep wearing her wedding ring and her husband's t-shirt, dreaming of Saturday mornings and sewing lessons and the extraordinary, ordinary life she's chosen. A life built on love and second chances and the revolutionary act of believing she's enough exactly as she is. In the morning, she'll make pancakes with Lily while Marcus reads the paper. They'll spend the day together doing nothing special and everything that matters. Building family in the spaces between errands and laughter, in the quiet moments when Lily falls asleep between them on the couch, in the look Marcus gives Emma across the breakfast table that says, "You're home." But for now, Emma sleeps content in the knowledge that sometimes the best love stories start with the worst nights, that broken hearts can heal stronger than before, that the woman who woke up in a stranger's apartment 7 months ago, scared and lost and certain she'd never trust again, was wrong about so many things. Love isn't about being perfect or suitable or enough by someone else's standards. It's about finding someone who sees your worth even when you've forgotten it, who stays through the hard parts and fights beside you when fighting matters. It's about choosing each other every single day in big moments and small ones until those choices become the foundation of forever. And Emma Thornton, formerly Garrett Taylor from Brooklyn and wife to a CEO, she's saved by being saved by him, understands that now. Finally. Completely. Worth the fear. Worth the risk. Worth every moment of doubt that led her here.